I had a roommate who was dating somebody in the Hells Angels, and there was like this whole thing. So they're like, come back.
Get out of Ontario.
Yeah, I was like living with the stripper at the time. She was great, but things got out of hand. And there was like a drug supplier, and his brother got out of prison, and he had a thing for me. And it was like, when they make a movie about my life, let me tell you, they have a lot of material.
No wonder Ontario wasn't the greatest time for
Oh,
you.
it was also just as traumatic as Bible school.
We are back with another episode of On the Front Porch.
Do. This week we had country artist, Canada's dream cowboy, Robert Adam.
And we had quite a fun time. We played a new game. We're going to start making everyone play it. No, I'm just kidding. We did play a game, though. We talked to Robert about his adventure to country music, navigating his upbringing, and the genres of music he was in before he made his way to country, which was pretty interesting.
And all of his careers.
All of his careers. He is a semi-finalist in SiriusXM's Top of the Country this year, so we talked a little bit about that. We talked a lot about his songwriting and the songs that he's put out so far this year, Whiskey on Your Words and Moonlight Magic. He's got more to come, and an album hopefully coming out later next year, so lots of music dropping in between.
And here's our conversation with Robert Adam.
Robert Adam, you're
so
coming to us
formal, and so it sounds like he's being scolded.
coming to us live from Calgary?
Yeah, it's Calgary now.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
How long have you lived in Calgary for?
I've been here since September.
Okay.
I moved from Crossfield.
Right.
So less of a drive in for gigs and stuff. And before that was my hometown of Bonnyville, Alberta. But that was a long time ago. So
How are we liking Calgary so far? What's the vibes?
Oh, I love Calgary.
Yeah?
Me too.
Yeah. I've been here since 2017. Honestly, I don't plan on leaving. What about you, Logan?
Calgary's one of my favorite cities. It's especially my favorite city in Alberta. No shade to anyone else in other parts of Alberta.
Like,
what about, this would be your first Stampede season living there, right? Crazy? Are you participating or no?
I'm not participating because I have so much shit to do. And also, so much crap to do. And also, I don't know, like, I love people when they're in the audience and I'm on the stage. I do not love people when I am, like, in the audience or walking around. It's just, like, not my vibe.
I hear you.
So I just rather stay at home and watch from Instagram. Unless it's someone really, 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 like, that has a big draw on me. But yeah, the peace and quiet. Also, she's got work to do. She has lots of work to do. She cannot stop.
Okay, why don't we take it back? Because you have a pretty interesting story on your beginnings, how you got into music, your other career. So
my other career. Yeah,
my back.
2 other careers.
2, right. Let's go all the way back.
Let's go all the way back.
Where is baby Robert? What's he doing?
Baby Robert is born in Vermilion, Alberta, to 2 farmers. And then, how far do we really want to go back? I could talk forever. Okay, and then I guess we moved to Fort Kent, Alberta, which is just outside Bonnyville, and then eventually settled in Bonnyville for quite a long time. I grew up always putting on little choreographed shows where I'd make my cousins and my sister be background dancers, and I would charge money, and my family had to pay toonies and loonies to see me perform. I knew my worth even back then. Is
that how you got your allowance?
Yeah, literally. My parents
worked for it. You worked for it.
Yeah, I grew up in a blue collar family. They're like, if you want to make money, you have to, like, work and charge people for it, or else.
And I'll put my sister and cousin in the back.
Yeah.
Did you pay them?
Yes.
Oh,
okay.
Oh.
Okay. I've always been a person for the people. What can I say? But I also earned my allowance, I don't know, chopping and stacking wood for hours and hours and hours and doing all sorts of backwoods chores and stuff like that. But yeah, my parents definitely made me work for my allowance for sure and taught me like the blue collar work ethic of like always work as hard as you possibly can. But I've learned to maybe balance that a little more these days so like I don't die. So
It's
Important.
actually interesting because farm kids, I am one, get this like work ethic instilled in them, and then you find out like what in your like late 20s to early 30s that there's a healthier balance than just go 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 and overworking yourself. It's very interesting, huh?
It is. And I honestly think society functions differently now. Like I see a lot of like my parents' generation working really hard and they're not rewarded for it. Like the people that get raises and the people get promotions, this is how it works. The people who work the hardest and go above and beyond in their job, they don't want to move you up corporately because you're doing the work of 3 people. The people who move up are the people that just do the bare minimum and don't actually do work. So it's actually counterproductive, I think, actually to work crazy hard sometimes. But in music, you have no choice. Like you just have to give the most, do the most all the
You're
time.
the CEO of your business. You're the
your HR, your management, your operations.
Literally everything. But it's true. Like if you don't find that balance, like you're gonna die fast.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It is. And like also you're not creating your best art, you're not bringing your best performances. Like you have to have those boundaries. I mean, I'm still horrible at it, but
acknowledging it, awareness, good stuff. Good start at least.
I'm sure you two find that with your careers too. Like
I have a hard time turning off.
Yeah, y'all are so busy all the time.
Yeah. Don't remind us, please.
That's why I'm eating dinner on mute.
With wet hair.
Stop. Do you have to be all the way? Are you kidding me?
There has to be some shade in this program.
So far, my favorite guest of season 3.
Good.
Just outing Jenna.
Good. I outed somebody that you can like literally start the podcast today. Rob outs somebody on. Ooh,
that's podcast, a good title.
But not for what you think.
That's clickbait. I love it.
That is clickbait
for the views.
It's me.
Gen Z will love it.
Gen Z will love it. Gen Z.
So back to the music. So you started music performing when you were a child for your allowance.
Yes.
Is that where you really honed your craft? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
As you were
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think the bulk of my musical development was actually from singing in church because my family had a worship team. So like a lot of like the kind of like playing with other players and like playing with a band and synchronicity and singing, like a lot of that was built like in the church. As much as I do not go to church these days, I do have to credit growing up in the church as like having a good foundational, because you can make so much mistakes, right? Like you're allowed to grow in your craft. And then also like I started writing contemporary Christian music really, really young. Obviously the world did not make any sense to me because I did not fit in. I did not look or sound like anybody. I also, many people do not know this, I had a vocal disorder from the time I was like 12 to like 21 where my voice didn't actually change. So a lot of folks, so my voice actually sounded like almost like kind of like higher, like Michael Jackson, kind of like people thought I was actually like a trans person in the small town for quite a long time. So like interesting dynamic, but luckily in the church I could kind of like still sing and people were like nice about it, but obviously did not know what to do about it. But it was a great place to just
nothing.
Like,
they're supposed to do nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, but there was a lot of things that really didn't make a lot of sense to me. I didn't think like boys, and in the Christian tradition, as you may know, gender roles are really strong. So it just makes it more confusing if you don't really align in that binary of like, you know, feeling like I just did not relate to anything in the when the youth groups would separate, like the boys go over here and the girls over there, we'll have our separate gender talks. Like none of it made any sense to me. And like just like obviously people I didn't have, like I had friends, but I didn't have many friends. So music was a huge outlet and helping me try to understand like why. Because also when you grow up in Christianity, you believe like you were knit, every fiber of your being is knit together, like you were chosen, you were put together for a reason. And it was very confusing because none of what I was made of was in, you know, the framework that I understood was good or was desirable. So I kind of felt like God's personal joke for a lot of my life because it just nothing made sense. What I'm trying to say is that's the real driver of why young Rob is doing music, is writing songs to try and challenge my spiritual journey of like, why was I made and created like this? Why am I interested in girly things or the Spice Girls or, you know, the chicks when all of the other guys are like interested in like sports and like, this is an old song and dance. We've heard so many of my generation talk about the story, but I guess it really plays into why music, you know, also Bonneville at the time had a large, you either did one of two things. You either became a musician or you went into like hard drugs. There was a lot of drugs going around in Bonneville.
Nothing in between.
No.
Go hand in hand in Bonneville.
They do. It does. Because there was, at the time, the huge oil boom. Bonneville's an oil town. So there was a lot of like money. So like a lot of really rich kids that had nothing better to do. So me and my sister luckily ended up in the music route where there's nothing better to do. So it's either you like go hard in a hobby or like you end up
go hard in the drugs.
yeah, exactly. So yeah,
in a different hobby.
Yeah, exactly. So like all my like high school, middle school years, I spent like writing and singing like contemporary Christian music. And then I went to Bible college, which was an interesting experience. I ended up coming out in my 4th year of Bible college, which I wouldn't say went super well.
I wouldn't imagine it would.
No, but I did make some awesome friends at that school. I also I overcame my vocal disorder there, and we realized it was like a super rare condition called mutational falsetto. So like what's crazy about the whole vocal journey of Robert Adam is my voice like really didn't work properly because I had been talking and singing in falsetto for so many years that my voice would like cut out and like it wouldn't phonate properly. So like in my heart, this like light is telling me that I'm going to be like a singer and I'm going to be a really good singer. But everyone around me was like, Rob, that's like really sweet, but I don't think singing is for you. Like your voice doesn't actually work. And that's why I think it's crazy. Like when we have a dream in our heart and like we have like, it's not there for like no reason at all. Like there is things that are like given to us by the universe or whatever higher power you want to believe in that kept me going, because no one would have guessed that I have the voice I have today at all. Like even my parents, they were just trying to protect me. They're like, Rob, like you're really not good at singing. Like you can't do this. Like, you know, your voice isn't normal. Like there's something like broken about it. But then my brain figured the problem with mutational falsetto is your brain can't figure out the neurological pathways to reach your like chest voice or like how to use your developed voice. And also it's half psychological too, because I didn't want to grow up and become a man and face the fact that I was, you know, a gay person or like a non-binary person, right? Because that's just too much to deal with. And our brains only let us deal with things when we're ready. So that's a whole thing. Now I can sing in a way that I feel like every day I get to sing in this voice is actually like, I'm really thankful for it because I have control over it. I can do things that people wouldn't ever dream that a person like me could do with my voice. Everyone just thought that like my voice was completely broken and there was nothing they could do about it. So crazy. Meanwhile, had a professor who was very, very intense. He was like a closet gay person and I was living the life he wasn't. Really crazy, manipulative, high control group situation. All of his students were in a very like tight, he would tell us like what to wear, how to look, like how we should sound. he would say things like, if you don't trust me, you don't trust God. And
This
like,
was a Bible school, Bible college. Yeah.
So this was like a huge portion of my life where I started to shift to sing more soul jazz music, because I started listening to like Amy Winehouse at the time, and I really respected her like candor and her honesty, because I had not lived in a society where people could speak their mind like that ever. So, and I also was just like feeling, because I was the only one at the time who saw that this professor's behavior was so manipulative and so like cult-like. All of my friends didn't see it at the time, and like I kind of like was the odd one out. They later did see it, and now they're all like, whoa, Rob, we're so sorry that happened, because he was crazy. But it was a very weird, controlling situation that I've had to process. I'm all good now, but it took me like a couple of years after Bible college to really like heal from like how much he really controlled our lives, and like, you know, had this like emotional, like abusive hold on us for a really long time in really messed up ways. So yeah, got out of Bible college.
Not
Started to sing.
unscathed.
Yeah, not unscathed, but you know, got some, you know, started singing jazz soul music, and my dream was to move to Toronto and be the small town boy moving to the big city and aim for the moon and land in the stars kind of idea. So I worked in the oil patch in Bonnyville for a year to save up money to move to Toronto, which I did. Well, I moved outside of Toronto first, but I moved in Ontario and did that for a couple of years, and it was really not what I wanted it to be. It was like not a good time, and I think I was still coming to terms with my own sexuality and like my own spirituality, and like me and my parents were kind of on the rocks at this point, because they needed to process in their own way. Like, you can't just expect people who like Christianity was passed down for like generation after generation. You can't expect people like that just to like open up to the idea that queer people aren't like sinful or like bad. So I wasn't really talking to them at this point, and I was kind of finding my own way. But I'm really glad I went out east there, because I had a chance to really figure out what I want and what I prioritize in life. And I started to write country music out there because I was really homesick. And I met, also everywhere I go, I do meet really awesome friends. But it was a very dark time in my life because I just felt so alone and so like lost. But because of that, I started writing country music. It didn't make any sense.
Did you often listen to country music?
Yeah, I was listening to Casey Musgrave's Same Trailer, Different Park a lot.
Great album.
Fucking love that album.
I know. And I was listening to a lot of like Loretta and Patsy Cline at this time, because that's what was playing at home. Weirdly enough, as much as I said screw Alberta because Alberta doesn't love me, I still was listening to like music that I grew up listening to. I don't know why. And that's what I mean. Like, sometimes we have no control over the path that we end up on. Like, all we can do is be our best selves and just like be along for the ride. So I'd start writing this country music, and it was never my intention to be a country singer ever. Like that, if you would have told me like when I was 12 years old, I would have laughed in your face and be like, that is the funniest joke I've ever heard in my life. I am not going to be singing country music.
And here you are now as part of the top of the country.
What? Like
competition.
It's just freaking crazy. I just remember, I also have to give credit to these people I was living with in Ontario. They would hear me write these country songs. And the first one I wrote was Rocky Mountain Law. That's the first ever country song I wrote. And I remember them telling me, Rob, we really like your jazz stuff, but there's like something about this country thing that you're doing that's just hitting us different. Like, have you ever thought about doing it? I'm like, no one wants to see a gay person sing country music. Like, there's no career for me in that, like, ever. And that was just the mentality. But as I kept going on and on, I started writing more of this country music, and I would play it sometimes at my shows, and people would just have this, like, the energy in the room was just so much different. And I just would see people responding and like really connecting to the material. And then I just kind of like grew into the fact that I can be my fabulous self and I can be this sparkly person, but I also can be country. That's where I came from. I am literally born of the country. Like,
you can be both things.
Exactly. And I started to realize that, and I moved back to Alberta, and me and my parents' relationship had been like quite mended. They were like so happy that I moved back. There was some other crazy stories, Hell's Angels, and but like something was watching out for me, and that is a key thing in my life. As many bad things have happened to me, like I still am here alive, I'm still breathing, and there was still like always this like light leading me along the way that I think is like a recurring theme in my life. And that's why I think I evolved into this like wanting to have an angelic brand, because I feel like that's what I'm put on this earth to do, is to be a guardian angel for people, no matter what their sexuality or color of their skin. Like I just am rooted in the foundation of country music, but I really think it's my job to show people that they can be themselves, whatever that may be, and that I'm here to protect that for them in my music. So moved back to Alberta. My dad was so happy.
Goosebumps a little bit. I'm like, that's
yeah.
I think it's important. Like that itself is important, but also just like knowing and feeling your purpose in that way is not there yet. Not there yet. So just listening to you say it and so surely is just I just am so happy that you are there.
I mean, and also like I think people rush themselves to find that purpose, but like I'm not young anymore. Like I don't want to out myself and how old I really am, but like
say it, you outed my wet hair.
We've taken, you know, it's taken a long time for me to get here. And to anyone listening out there, if you're feeling like lost or you don't know your purpose, or like even musicians, you don't know your sound or what you want to say, like literally take your time, because you can't force those things to happen any faster than they will. Like
it's a great reminder,
right? I think we all need to hear that. I think even I need to hear that some days. Yeah. And then I just moved back to Calgary and was so welcomed by the Alberta country community. I think Mariah Stokes was kind of the first country artist I really got to know, and she really went out of her way to introduce me to a lot of beautiful people. And
Love
then
that.
It's kind of just been like go, go, go ever since. And
yeah,
like,
the Alberta country scene does seem to be very tightly knit. Like I went out to the CMABs a couple years ago, and Country Music Alberta Awards a couple years ago, and it was just a very welcoming place, and everyone just seemed so connected and so lovely to one another.
They truly are. I mean, I feel like obviously no organization is perfect, and there's definitely been some like growing pains on certain issues for sure, but like I really do believe we're going in the right direction. But like from my own experience, I was so welcomed, and like have made friends that I know will have for the rest of my life. And I'm so glad they were able to give me like resources and education on like how to further my career, because I don't think I'd be here today without the like group and community of people to help me get here, you know?
Yeah. Can we talk about your other careers? I just want to talk about how diverse of a human being you are. I'm just, because I remember sitting in TL's backyard.
Oh my God.
That was the first time we actually like got to chat. I was like, you do what also? Also this? What?
Oh yeah, so I guess we'll just continue the life journey.
Yeah.
So we get back to Calgary, and I decide that I gotta find a career to fund my music, which was
unfortunately.
Yeah, which is kind of like complicated, because I honestly think I went into this career to like please a lot of people, including like my family, who was like very blue collar, and like I just felt like I needed some sort of career to kind of prove my existence to society. I feel like a lot of artists feel that way, where like being an artist isn't enough.
Yeah, because I'm sure people are often like, oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm an artist. Okay, but what do you like do to make money?
Yeah.
And people are like, an artist. And I'm like, okay, but really, like, what do you actually do?
Yeah, exactly. Because people never take it that seriously. And I feel like I was very much still like a people pleaser at this time. And I was like, I need to like make mom and dad proud of me. Because as much as they were like, yeah, that's great, you're like, we love who you are, but like music isn't a real career, and like you're probably not gonna like make it big time. So I went to state for heavy duty mechanics. Mom and Dad.
Yeah, I know. This is also pretty relatable.
It is, right? We've all been here. Our parents only want the best for us, though. It's just like,
it's true.
It just is a little misguided sometimes.
Their idea of the best is not always your idea of the best.
And it's really hard to reconcile sometimes. It's really hard to see eye to eye on stuff like that because it feels like an attack most of the time.
Exactly.
And they just know how to get under your skin.
They do. They very much do.
And likewise, I'm sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely goes both ways. So yeah,
I went to school. Yeah.
I went to SAIT and I graduated with honors in heavy duty mechanics. I loved studying at that program. And did really well in that program, but then COVID happened. And I was laid off from my server position at the keg.
Oh, no.
And I decided to move in with my parents who had moved to Crossfield because they had moved down here because my sister unfortunately lost her partner in a freak accident and they wanted to be here just as support for my sister and to be closer to us. Which worked out also for me, like another weird thing where like everyone was getting laid off and I got to spend COVID in Crossfield, which was such a sanctuary for me. It was so quiet. That's where I learned how to sew, was in that house. And like, that's where I created some of my, like most of my outfits that I've sewn myself. And like, it just gave me the time and the ability to like unleash creativity in a way that I never even knew I was capable of. And over COVID, I have to credit to like a lot of like my image becoming elevated and me like walking into the dream Angel Cowboy, today. But I could not find a heavy duty mechanics job to save my life over COVID.
Which is weird because I feel like that's a very in-demand job.
I think it was. I also just think people probably took a look at me and were like,
you can't do that.
I don't know if we want you in our shop. Which, yeah.
Honestly, probably for the better.
Yeah. So then I did eventually get like a light duty mechanic, like maintenance job up north. But that was like, they wouldn't fly you in, fly out. So I'd drive like 8 hours, work a week, come back here. And that was like not it. And then I got into Project Wild.
Oh, really? Did we know this? I feel like we didn't know this.
We knew that.
That's okay, though. It was so long ago. It was like the last year they did it. So then I realized I can't be driving back and forth every 8 hours. So then I decided to just come back. And I decided to go to hair school. Because why not add to my student loans and go to hair school? So I studied
and your career portfolio.
Right. So, and I just felt like I had applied to so many heavy duty mechanics jobs that like I just didn't hear back. And I was like, well, I guess this isn't in the cards for me because I've been trying for like literally years of walking in old fashioned way. Where's your service manager? My name's Rob. Here's my resume. I would love to apprentice at your shop. Like I would drive to like Olds, High River, Langdon, like all these shops. But anyways, went to hair school, passed. I didn't graduate with honors at hair school. That is hard. That was so much harder than heavy duty mechanics. Hair school was intense. Like that is an intense freaking program. And then I started working at a salon. I did not like doing hair. I hated it
really
so much. Oh my God. I hate it. The foils, like highlighting hair is so stressful. Cutting hair, so stressful. Coloring hair is so stressful. And like, people do not understand
the whole job. That's the whole job.
Literally. I hate all of it.
Just listen to all the things.
I mean, I don't understand.
Yeah.
But like the thought of cutting someone's hair, because people are so attached to their hair. I used to be.
Yeah.
And then it detached. But like the thought of people touching people's hair and their head just gives me such anxiety. I don't think I could. And you have to small talk the whole time. Hard pass.
That too. But also what I realize is like, when you start hair, you can make really good money doing hair. Like there's some hairstylists bringing in like 10 grand a month, but you have to build that clientele. It's like another hustle. And I realized like, I can't have two hustles.
Yeah. You can't hustle music and hustle hair.
Yeah. Like, cause music, like people were starting to give me more and more opportunities. And I was realizing that like, I need to start working on like a bigger body of work. And like, I also need to like hustle more for my music and be available to that. So I decided to leave hair. Oh, I also like had got an offer for an actual heavy duty mechanics job. but they didn't have a foreman, so it wasn't legal.
Oh.
This happened to me 2 other times. I went through like
unsnap.
I think in total I had like 4 heavy duty jobs, and none of them actually had real journeymen, so I couldn't actually get any apprenticeship hours on it.
Ugh.
I know, and then I did get fired for one of them, which was sad and embarrassing, but it was because the foreman treated me like absolute garbage every day, and I stood up to him and I was like, you will not talk to me like that. And then he hated me and he's like, get rid of him, he's on probation, get rid of him. So then they're like, hi, we don't have the resources to train you because you are so new, because at this point it had been like 3 years since I went to school. I didn't remember anything. And to their credit, like, I get it. I probably was annoying to train because I just really didn't remember much from school. And, like, they were, like, moving so fast. And, like, that foreman was awful, though. I really did not like him. But
why are they taking apprentices, though, if they're not willing to help you?
And I communicated clearly. I said, listen, I am new. I don't remember much from school. I would like to be taught as if I was, like, fresh apprentice, no schooling. Like, that is what... like, but communication not strong there. But the week I got fired from that job, I was set to do something that I'm not allowed to talk about because I'm under an NDA still, but all I can say...
What a tease, bearing that
I
weight.
know, but I just want to word this in a way to give people hope and inspiration that even when you are at rock bottom, which I was, I felt so defeated. I felt so ashamed of myself. I'd never been fired from a job. I've always been the person that they're like, oh, we can't lose Rob. He works so hard. Like, everyone like loves chilling with him. He does his work. He makes sure he does a good job. So I was so embarrassed that I got laid off. I just was like so embarrassed. But like literally within that week, so many things would like appear and manifest and like set me on a journey that like has taken me here to like today, top 3 in top of the country, and like coming out with the debut album with string sections and like crazy, like got to record all of it in Nashville, you know, like. So yeah, if you're at rock bottom, it might be the universe telling you that you just need to be humble and accept the success that's coming your way in the right mindset.
I see an additional career path for you.
Not another.
Not another one.
My lip just got stuck. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I didn't, but are you okay? Was it painful?
No, I feel like a doggo. That got his like lip
Sometimes
stuck.
my lips, they get stuck on my teeth.
I don't want to say motivational speaker, those kinds of things, but I think there is a place for you in like not career coaching or like some. There's things that you say and you put them down, and I feel like it's easy to pick up and not feel like you're blowing smoke. You know, so I feel like there's this like learned experience you've had that you should be able to somehow share with others and educate them.
Yeah, I think when I'm old, I would love to be a mentor.
Yeah,
to like younger artists for sure.
Yeah,
like
maybe that's what I'm saying. I think that's what I'm saying.
But like I haven't made it yet, so
or like a therapist for this for the emerging.
Definitely, my parents told me I should have just went to school for psychology because I like have always, ever since the time I was young, I don't know if I'm a Cancer. I'm a July baby.
It is Cancer season.
I'm a Cancer.
I'm a Cancer too.
Yeah. When's your birthday, Jenna?
It was June 26th.
Wow. So do people always come to you at parties telling you their life stories and problems, and you're like, well, here we go.
Kill the vibe. I'll sit in the corner all night, I guess.
Literally. We got to learn boundaries.
No, because Jenna's my therapist.
I'm here for a good time. Leave me alone.
But yeah, I've always just had that. Ever since I was young, people would just... And that's why I think I like doing music so much, because I can really like transfer that energy to like a stage. Like I always say, like, what I want for people, especially after this album comes out, is like when people turn me on whatever streaming platform they may use. I don't want to like get ostracized for saying just one. That I'm kind of like calling a friend on the phone when you listen to my music, but also like I want my audience to feel that if they meet me in person too, because I just think that's what I got to do with my music. Like that's just the role I see myself in, is the angel, guardian angel of people. And yeah, it's one of the few things I'm good at, I would say.
Well, I would agree. Like you listen to your music, it sounds like a warm hug. You see you in person, and you usually get a warm hug. Like it's just like you're just a lovely, like what's the word? You're a very warm individual.
Oh, thank you.
So going to the music again, you released Whiskey on Your Words.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that song. Where'd that come from?
Oh my God. Okay, so Whiskey on Your Words was a song I had on my back catalog. It wasn't even going to be on the album. This is tea, because it's done so many crazy things for me that I never would have expected. I wrote it about a guy. Oh my God. Let me tell you about this guy. We're going to call him Bert.
His real name.
Oh no. Girl, I'm a PR queen. I can't use real names here. And also, I don't want him feeling like he got like credit, because some guys live for that. It was before I met my partner Steven, and it was over COVID. And this guy would always text me whenever he was so high or so drunk. We've all had one of these in our lives. And I'm a different kind of person. Okay, I'm going to tell you, I've always felt a weird relation to the gay community, in the sense that I'm always something they neither hate, neither want. Because I'm not a mask for mask presenting person. And I always feel like my vibes are very different than a lot of what the the gay male community likes. So I either get these like people who are like really into me, but are like kind of too homophobic within themselves to like admit that when they're sober, or I get people that are just like, yeah, like you're cool from like a yes queen perspective, which is fine. But this guy would text me and call me when he was drunk and be like, oh my God, you were the boy of my dreams. You are just like nothing I've ever seen before. You're one of a kind. Yada, 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 yada. Like always when he was like so high or so drunk. And then we met one time, and then like he was sober, and then it just like, it was so weird and did not go well. And I feel like he had a moment or whatever, but like always was just always in my DMs when he was high or drunk. So I decided to write Whiskey on Your Words about people who like don't have the confidence or the like whereabouts to like actually be emotionally vulnerable when they're sober, and how kind of offensive that is. But also like how conflicted I was, because at the core of our being, we all like affection and we all like affirmation in romantic situations. I really have worked on trying not to be guided by that, because I think it gets us into trouble, but like it's a human condition, right? So the song is kind of just like kind of hinting at like it's complicated, it's confusing, but by the end of the song I just try to get it clear that it's like no, I'm over this, goodbye. Like I'm not listening to someone who's only drunk, because everything you're saying is like laced with whiskey on your words. So I just wrote it as kind of just like a simple, like it's not my like most poetic songwriting or anything. Like I wrote it as like a catchy like fu song basically to this guy we're gonna call Bert. And
might be his real name, might not be,
may or may not, allegedly. And yeah, I just felt like a lot of people could relate to that. Like I feel like a lot of people have had romantic interests that like only are like in your DMs or talking to you when they're like not sober, and it's like annoying. Viscerally annoying.
Fuck you, Bert, but also thanks for the song.
Okay, but also thanks for the song, because like we're just about at 400,000 streams on Amazon. I've never seen numbers like that in my life. Like the streaming platforms have never liked me. I've always had like under 1,000 streams, so this was like, okay, this is a good one. And Amazon, they hook up emerging artists. They are like out here for emerging artists, like
huge.
Yes,
they're leading the pack on that, hands down.
Are, because they realize that there is a huge like void of artists that fall in between not being signed and like amateur artists, and they're seeing this like crop of artists that like really get appreciated and like aren't being lifted to like rise in their careers, because a lot of the other streaming platforms, they don't care about you if you're not signed to a major label, and that's not going to help us find like that's not going to help develop the next generation of music.
Well, and it's also just not helpful for the audience either, because there is a huge market for emerging artists. Just look at our website. Like we get, I mean, we also feature people who are signed to labels and stuff, but we get a ton of traffic for our emerging artist content. So it's just an untapped area of the industry, which is ridiculous.
And I just think it's a good business practice, even just the way they're marketing themselves, because it is authentic. They are actually doing the work of like, this is the place you go to find like what's what of the new gen of artists. So that happened. But then besides that, like that's the song that got me into the top 3 of Top of the Country. We recorded it in Bryan Adams' studio. Like SiriusXM hooked us up and paid for all of that, all of our players to come, and they've been like so wonderful. And then we made a music video, which I am very proud of. I was the only one out of the 8. I don't want to brag, but I was the only one with a like a vision like document that I sent to the videographers of like color palettes. Like, this is the filters I would like. This is your like, this is your sample footage. It was like from like a Carpenter's music video from the 70s. I gave them like literally screenshots of like, I need the lighting to look like this. This is what I'm wearing. This is what my band's wearing. This is what kind of shots I like. This is what kind of pace I like. And then like, Jess, my manager, also came up with the idea. She's like, you should bring some like flowers or something. And I was like, oh, maybe I should like lie on the floor with these like flowers. So then we went to like Granville Island and bought some dried flowers and like laid them on the floor, and like, oh, it was great. It was such a fun experience. Like, and then you have like 5 days to turn that song around completely. You have a day to record it, and then you have 5 days to give them a fully finished master and mix. So
did you have it like completely finished like, in terms of like the writing of the song, or did you also have to like bring in the troops to be like, help?
No, I had finished that song a long time ago. So it was kind of just like, I did edit it though. There was a lot more verses, but like I was like, this needs to be like the most radio Robert has ever been. So we're making it 3 minutes on the dot. And then I did like do some pre-recording of vocals ahead of time, because I wanted to be present as like a co-producer, listening to what people were playing and doing. But I have to hand it to the musicians I brought. They did their homework. Like, I think it was like first take they did. Like, we technically could have just used that. Like, all of them. I had like Melody Stang, I had Brandy Siderick, I had Ethan Harder, and I had Mitch J, and I had John Lagore. And those, like, they came in so prepared, and like they listened to all the notes I had given them previous. Once again, they all got packages. They all got packages of like, this is the vision, this is specifically your instrument, listen to this focus track. And they just listened, and they also added their own touch of creativity, which is what I'm learning in this part of my life, is like, have a vision, but also be really open to people bringing their own creativity in a collaboration, because it could be even better than you ever thought. When you work with professionals, that's what happens. So
speaking of your, I'm going to say meticulous, but I don't mean that in a negative way, your meticulous vision, and you mentioned that, you know, you make a lot of your own clothes for this kind of stuff, for your music. Where does fashion fall into this for you with music? Because it's not something that often really is talked about much on this side of the country genre. And I just think it's really fascinating.
I'm laughing at into me. Like, where does fashion fall into? I'm like, not in, on.
Into me. She barely even knows me. I would say it's super important. Honestly, it's so complicated, because I think there's so many artists out there that deserve much bigger careers, but they aren't like, they're true artists. They don't want to be like this spectacle. And like my sister, for example, like my sister should have a world career in folk music. Her music is like so inspirational to me and is literally incredible, but she's not for playing the game. She's not this like thing that you put on a stage. She just wants to record the music, you listen to it, she'll perform at a folk festival, but fashion for me, I would say, is the reason I have gotten most of the opportunities, because it's really what drives people to figure out who I am. And then they're like, oh, he also can sing. And oh, okay, this is a good song. Oh, okay, he is slaying. Like, okay. And I feel like it's always a thing that pulls people in first. But like, I have to credit, it's a very personal thing to me, because for years of my life, this person that you see on stage dressing the way I do was always inside me. But like, I have just gotten comfortable in my life to show that on the outside, because I really believe fashion for anybody should just be a reflection of who you are on the outside. So when I finally got to embrace that part of myself, and I started to wear my hair the way I wanted it, and I started to like sew and design these clothes, it was like, it's always been such like an important path for me. And I think it's why my career has started to explode, because I've just started to be authentic to who I am. And that happens to be flashy and lots of satin and lots of bridal tulle and lots of like angelic textures. But I don't know, it's just been like, it's been a crazy process, like designing and realizing that like, oh, I can also like design and sew and construct looks like myself from like start to finish. It's like really empowering. And another message to the listeners, like, don't ever limit yourself to what you think you can and can't do. Like, if you have the patience to see things through, it's amazing what kind of level you can achieve in whatever pursuit you choose to do.
And it helps bring your vision to life. I mean, you're not going to be finding the clothes that you make anywhere else to match your vision.
It's just off the rack. Come on.
Yeah. I just bought it at H&M, right?
I remember, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, or perhaps the year before that, but I was like, where did you get your jacket? And you're like, I made it. And I was like, oh.
Oh, was it that like autumn jacket? It's like the foil, like
yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my, I think that's like probably my favorite thing I've ever made, because the tailoring like fit so well, and like working with that fabric was not easy. But yeah, it's like, but like I didn't sew anything before that, and like honestly, I'm a slow learner, and like people must look on the outside and they have a different perception, but that's like hours of practice and hours of work behind the scenes. So really, don't limit yourself to what you're gonna do. Like I keep saying, the universe takes us in some sort of weird journeys that we would never see ourselves. But like, it took like me being in isolation for 2 years playing Harvest Moon and Animal Crossing and getting bored of that and be like, maybe I should do something creative instead of playing Animal Crossing for hours.
What a time to be alive. My island was so good.
Same. Mine's probably destroyed now. There's probably weeds everywhere. But my aquarium was dope.
I literally
Jenna cannot relate to this at all.
No, oh, I'm so sorry, Jenna. You need to.
She's too cool to be a nerd.
Oh my god, Animal Crossing was everything.
I'm not too cool.
That's true. I did kick your ass in Mario the last time you were here.
Oh, right. Mario Kart that's another one of my favorite things. I'm always playing. Who's your character on Mario Kart?
Oh, every time it's Waluigi.
Waluigi.
Yeah.
He's Jenna, a villain. I'm Princess Peach.
Oh my god, so cute. I'm always Toad.
His voice is Wah!
his voice, you know why? Toad reminds me of my inner child. That's how my voice used to sound. Have y'all ever watched like Toad sing All I Want for Christmas?
Not that, but I have on TikTok seen Toad sing other things, and it is so funny.
It's my favorite thing.
What's that song? Oh Welcome by. Like, there's Toad just singing that song, and it's so funny.
How do I find this?
Please look. I have to send this right now.
Toad singing?
No, I will find it, and I'll play it over the microphone.
Toad singing "My Heart Will Go On."
Oh, that's also a really good one.
That's not what I expected.
Honestly.
Stop.
There There's a whole collection of. There's a whole anthology of Toad singing.
Toad singing Chandelier.
Oh, that's also a good
hit play.
Wait till this chorus hits. Jenna, how are you just discovering this now? There's nothing like it.
This is why we don't do question and answer podcasts.
Yeah.
I thought when you were saying this, there's going to be some cutesy little, like...
No, absolutely not. Toad is not a gifted singer. But you know what? Toad can make it happen. If I made it happen, so can Toad. So we're gonna tell Toad, you can do it, girl. You can do it.
Oh my god. I don't know if Toad can do it though.
I don't even know how to transition from this.
Wow. I don't know either. You have let's do this. You have a new single out right now.
Yes, I do. It's called Moonlight Magic. And it's a part of my secret album.
Can we get Toad to sing it somehow?
Yeah. Oh my god. If anyone knows how I can get Toad to sing Moonlight Magic, I will.
I'm on it. I'm going to figure this out. So
we actually have to get the song famous, but like that's a tricky trail. But anyways, Moonlight Magic is... So all of the songs I'm going to be releasing, I've got 6 more singles before my full-length album comes out next year. All of these are an autobiographical journey. It is a very hard word. I didn't learn how to read. It's a journey about me growing up in Alberta as a young person, and it's covering the years from when I was born to when I left Bonnyville. So Moonlight Magic is about when I came back from Bible college as out, and my parents were like, if we catch you dating guys, you're gonna be kicked out. We did not have a good relationship back then. They're great people now. They're all about loving. They're all about like doing what Jesus actually says, which is loving people with no conditions. A lot of people have a problem with that part, but it's like the core of Christianity. But anyways, so I would sneak out and go on dates with these boys and meet them in like farmers' fields and like by Muriel Lake, just like drive out.
Ooh.
And it was kind
saucy.
It was very saucy, and I still was very much a prude though. I'm like, we're only gonna kiss. I have boundaries. Like, we're not doing anything more than that, you know, because I still had the puritanical values,
the
like
Christian. But
upbringing. I had many experiences out in the moonlight with these gentlemen, and I realized that the song, I wrote it where I'm like, it doesn't have to be just about me, because there's a lot of people that kind of want to take off society's expectations of them, and the whole idea is I've always felt most like myself, like late at night. I've always been a late night owl, and I realized because most of my life I've had societal pressure to be something, but at night when everyone's sleeping, that just doesn't exist. Like, it's just you and the moonlight and the stars, and no one's expecting you to be anything. Like, I didn't have to be more masculine, or I didn't have to be like more Christian acting, you know. And I realized so many other people feel that way. Like, even...
Is that what? I'm a night owl?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I haven't done a study or anything, but we should. But I feel like there's like even like parents out there that they don't want to be parents for a night. Like they were romantic lovers too. You know, maybe they want to take the mom and dad hat off. And I just think, you know, some people who have demanding jobs, like, I feel like this song captures this where people just need to take their hats off and like just be themselves. So I kind of worked that in there. And I don't know, it's like I was really inspired by like 80s rock, like Bruce Springsteen and like all those like synth, like cosmic vibes. Most of the album harks from like 70s inspiration, but for this one we just wanted to come up with like a sparkly summer banger for the girlies, like. So yeah, that's what Moonlight Magic is about. How do you guys, like, you can be honest, what are you guys thinking of it so far? Sorry, I'm fidgeting, but I haven't heard, like, I've heard feedback just from my friends, but I haven't heard any industry feedback. Like, where are we feeling with like Moonlight Magic as opposed to like Whiskey on Your Words? Like, where were you guys?
I think Whiskey on Your Words hit me in a different way because I'm listening to these, knowing this about you and how you like really think through when you're writing this. So I'm thinking a little more like I'm thinking about like your experiences and how you've like brought them into this thing that everybody can listen to and understand in some way. So Whiskey on Your Words for me was a little bit more like, so I think I'm still there because when Moonlight came out, I think I was like, okay, Rob, yes. Okay. But when I think like Robert Adam right now, I'm still like Whiskey on Your Words comes into my head, and I also think maybe just because when I've heard it, now that I've heard it live, it's just like so passionate and like,
oh my God,
I'm coming for you. I'm not coming for you, but like, you know, like it's just more.
Did you see it live at CMA Fest?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was such a bad performance. I'm so glad I did not ruin that song from you.
No,
that was not a bad performance at all. Get out of here.
It was. Oh my God, I literally for Lasso for Series 6, I'm like, girl, you got to turn it out Lasso because your CMA performance was lackluster, honey.
No, it wasn't.
It was not, but
it definitely wasn't.
We're all our own worst critic.
That's interesting. I love how you're like living for Whiskey on Your Words though. That's like, I love that. Like that you're seeing it, like that it hits you in a certain place. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I like Whiskey on Your Words, specifically that song, because it's like the Robert Adam that we've known for a few years now, but it's like a little more pointed in a little bit of a different direction. So it to me, it kind of stood out a little more. It's like, oh, hello. And your new song is still Robert Adam, and it's like the other like another side of Robert Adam. So it's like we're getting a full spectrum of who you are musically.
I feel like Moonlight Magic is for the July. It's for now. We're getting into our Midnight Magic era.
It is.
You know?
It is. It's very much that. I'm glad that was the purpose too. Like I had like little expectations for Moonlight Magic because it's so different, and I knew maybe it might be jarring to people, but I really wanted to show the world that it's like she can do a mid-tempo like acoustic ballad, she can do pop country, but the next single coming out in September is a straight up like strings Whitney Houston moment ballad. And I'm really excited. I can't wait for it to come out, TBH.
Logan will say my love language is hate.
Jenna's love language is hate.
But my love language is hearing new music first.
That is actually, no, that's her toxic trait.
What if I sent you a sample of it right now?
She loves you forever.
Like,
say no.
Is this tea? Like, can we do this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But if we're doing it, can we send it to both of us?
Wait.
A little live reaction, a little.
Oh my God, this is drama.
But on silent so that nobody else knows.
Yes.
Yeah,
oh
let's do it.
Okay.
All right, Jason, go on silent here. You get to hear it too.
I was picturing Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing.
Yeah.
Well, it's so dreamy. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, thank you.
I like. It's just. It's very dreamy.
And I want to go on a date.
That's the goal,
Jenna.
Oh. Oh my God, budding romance.
That's lovely. It's really nice hearing like strings, but also like a country sound. It doesn't happen very often.
It used to.
And your voice goes deep in it.
I know. We really. And then at the end, there's like this huge like key change up.
Toad could never sing that.
I know. It's very drama.
I love it.
Yeah.
So when does that come out?
September.
Ooh.
Sometime.
And then your album, you're releasing 6 singles before your album, or are you yeah, okay. So September, it's like every 8 weeks drop, or
basically, yeah. So it'd be like September and then January, then March, June. And then I think there's like soft releases in there too. Cool. Obviously, because we have 2 more. Mm-hmm. And then album 2025 September.
Amazing.
That's so excited. I have a Project Wild question. I remember
Yes.
we were talking to somebody. Sorry, this is so random. Just thinking how like thought out that is. Did the Project Wild teach you something along those lines of being able to like create this, basically manage a project for this, and then assign yourself deliverables and budget and be able to actually meet deadlines and stuff? Or have you always been good like this? / was that just one person's experience learning from Project Wild?
I feel like from Project Wild, I just realized I needed to build a team of people who know better than me.
Okay, fair.
Like, they did teach us a lot of stuff. And, like, I did have to make, like, the budget myself for that program.
Mm-hmm.
But what I realized is, like, you might as well just make sure you have administrative-minded people. Like, you don't have to find a manager to help you with that. Like, there's people who, like, literally will make a spreadsheet for you or compile information for you, right? Like,
yeah.
But I realized most of all, it is important to have another mind in the game, especially if you're doing like a big work release or like several singles. Like you can't do that by yourself, period. Yeah. Especially if you have a creative, like artistic brain, like you're not going to be able to pull it off.
Or you lose like creative space in your brain and you start being, there's just, it sucks it out of you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, I realize we're getting to the hour.
Yeah.
Well, we passed the hour. Oops.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I talk way too much.
No, it's perfect.
It's great. No. Okay, so let's cap off with all the fun places SiriusXM is taking you the rest of the summer. You will be playing at Lasso Music Festival.
Which is a festival I've always wanted to play. I'm really excited about Lasso. And one of my co-finalists, Trudy, is from there. And she is so sweet. And she's going to take us around and show us her favorite parts of Montreal.
Montreal's a fantastic city.
I know. My partner's hyped. He has been there many times. And he is so excited to go.
Top of the Country's happening in September. And we'll see you there.
Yeah, that's what you can put in.
Okay.
Robert, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh my God, thanks so much for having me. It has been such a pleasure. Thank you for letting me rattle off and talk for so long and for listening. Thank you for support and listening to Whiskey on Your Words and Moonlight Magic and
that special one we got to hear early.
Bailing Twine. But yeah, I love you both so much. You're such an important part of the country music community, and I really appreciate what you folks do.
Well, thank you very much.
Stop.
Right back at you.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks for listening to another episode of On The Porch with Front Porch Music. We're so lucky to be able to chat with artists and make episodes like this one. If you like the podcast, remember to rate and review us, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. It's the easiest way to support the show. Remember to check out frontporchmusic.ca to keep up with new music releases, exclusive artist interviews, and more. We'll catch you again on The Porch in a couple of weeks. On The Porch is hosted by Logan Miller and Jenna Weishar, and produced and edited by Jason Saunders. That's me. Our theme song was written, produced, and performed by Owen Wrigley.